Swami.
Yes, let us begin then. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya tvaidyakena yopakarattam prabharangamuninam Patanjalim pranjaliranutoasmi. Last time we discussed certain things. We discussed that people who get samadhi without extreme detachment, they will have to come back. You see, this is your gods in the sense of inhabitants of this celestial jewel and the Prakriti Leena, those who are merged in nature. Now, they will have to come back. Others, they have, you see, Patanjali has said that they must require this Shraddha, this vigor, this memory. They must have power of concentration and certain amount of discrimination regarding what is real and what is unreal. Then he discussed that those who have tremendous energy, their success is imminent almost. For others, it will vary according to their degree of energy, the spiritual energy, because this is related to your past karma. You see, you cannot have tremendous energy for spiritual progress if you do not have sufficient good karma. You see. So it is all related to previous karma. Now, this is your regarding concentration. Now, many alternatives are being proposed. So we have discussed that one is the great devotion to God. And God has been defined as a special being, who does not have klesha. We shall discuss what is klesha. Klesha means all those things which give you suffering. You see, it is avidya, ignorance. From that comes asmita, this ego. Then come raga, dvesha, this attraction, repulsion. And you see, according to this yoga system, there is another suffering, which is the fear of death or the great attraction for life. This is, they call it avinavesha. We shall discuss it later. So this is klesha, and karma. We know karma means not just activity. Karma means activity in which there has been an element of volition. Your choice was there. So so that is karma, because it is either it will liberate you somewhat or it will bind you more. So, and vipaka, we have discussed, it is jati ayu bhoga. How and where, in what species you are born, your lifespan, and sukha dukkha bhoga, your suffering and joy, etc. And ashaya is in the sense, the receptacle. That means there is something in our mind that whenever we do a karma, it may be physical karma, it may be mental karma. When the karma is over, a seed remains from which desire, impulsions, etc. come. So this is the ashaya. That means, you see. So all these things have no connection with this special Purusha who is called Ishvara. That is how it is. And another thing is that each human being You see, it may be a great talented man, it may be an ordinary man, it may be a dullest of the you see, human beings, has some knowledge. Otherwise, life is not possible. Some knowledge is there. They know something about the present, something about the past, and they can imagine something about the future also. Now it varies from persons to persons. Now when it reaches this climax, it is that is God. Niyati Shayang Sarvagattaviyam. That is how you say. You see, in God it becomes boundless, this knowledge. And they have said that Sapurveshamapi Guru Kalena Anavachyadat. He is the Guru, he is the teacher of even ancient teachers, because he is not bound by time. Now, teachers are human teachers. Now, the question is that whether a man can have spiritual knowledge without a teacher. Swami Vivekananda says, you see, for the vast majority of human beings, a quickening impulse is necessary. This quickening impulse is given by the Guru. You see. So he talks from his personal experience. He tried hard to say achieve the highest thing. Then he found that it was not possible for him. And his Guru, you see, Sri Ramakrishna helped him. So, you see, it is, in some cases, for example, we see that the person has achieved the highest without any Guru. Ramana Maharshi, for example. But Ramana Maharshi himself was asked whether Guru is necessary. He said, yes, Guru is necessary. In his case, he achieved very high spiritual status in his previous existence. So in this birth, it was, you see, physical, there was no physical Guru, you see, except for God, for him. Tasya Vachaka Pranavaha. Now, we have discussed it also, that this is, this Ishvara is signified by Pranava. Pranava is the otherwise called Onkara. Now, Onkara is a great subject. You see. It is a 3 letters, and Swami Vivekananda gives a very special explanation of it. He says that O is the root of all sounds, and M is the final sound. You see, all consonants, real consonants end with M, and M is pronounced with the lips totally close together there, you see. So that means as if the end of pronouncements. Now in between there is oo, which rolls over the whole tongue. Ooh, it rolls over. So it is your, in a sense, it comprises these things, all words, that means all ideas also. Because words are symbols for ideas. You say table, you say goat, you said star, you say tree. You see, with these, all these words, these are ideas, you see. So in a sense, it represents the cosmos. And the cosmos, say, the origin of the cosmos is from either you say Ishvara or Brahma, uh, Brahman rather. So this is one. And in Vedanta, it has been variously because these are three letters. So triad of many things. Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya. Srishti, creation, sustenance, and dissolution. Then Sthula, Sukshma, Karana. Gross, subtle, and causal. You see, all these triads, they say, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. So you see, these triads, you see, it has been suggested that Om represents these triads. Certain times, you see, they go even by dividing Om into four parts. U, Ma, and then beyond Ma, there is a lingering sound. Om. There is something lingers even after M. So they say that Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, and Turiya, the fourth state. There is one state called Turiya state. You see, Turiya literally means fourth. So like that, that's why Om has been, you see, even the Gita says, and the Upanishad says, Om. Om iti ekaksharanga brahma vyaharan ma manusmaran. How to die a spiritual death. You see. And the Gita says that this syllable Om you should utter and remember me at the last time. You see, at the final hour of your life. So all this way, you see, Om has been, you see, an Om, and not only our scriptures say so much, it has been practiced and being practiced also. There are people who almost always repeat this Om. Okay. So this Om has a tremendous power. It has been, say, eulogized so much in the scriptures. It has been practiced so much by human beings. So there's a great, see, spirituality has been connected with this Om. And Swami Vivekananda tells us something else, which is also what for remembering this. That is, he says that when his mind came down from the level of the highest samadhi, he heard this sound. That means there is a sound in the universe like this. Om. So I think that is the origin of this sound. Nobody, just determined it like this. It came like this because yogis heard that sound, and that's why it is being used. It has a cosmic, divine origin. This word. So tasya vachaka pranama, and says tad japastad arthabhavanam. You should repeat it. At the same time, you should think about its meaning. So these are the ways. You see, first of all, he said that you Shraddha, Virya, etc. With that you should proceed, and you must have. Then he shows us a way. One way is this, that a devotion to God and your this Om signifies God, and repeating it and remembering at the same time is meaning. It is a tremendous thing in the sense that they say Kshanamapi sajjana sangati reka bhavati bhavarnavatarunenanka. If for a moment you come across a holy person, that association becomes like a ship to carry you across the ocean of samsara. So when you do this japa and think about it, you understand what a tremendous, your powerful boat you are having for crossing the ocean of life. So, tad japas tad arthavanam. Tata prattak chetana adhigamo upi antaraya bhavascha. From that you get this understanding of the thing which is Chetana. That means Chetana is the opposite of inert things. You see, that means Chetana is the Purusha. There is a reflection of the Purusha inside a human being. You see, there is something. So that this is not the the Purusha who is seen outside, the gross body. The prattak means which goes in the other direction. That means which is interior. So it is prattak chetana adhigama. You understand because you're through this japa, through this reflection on the meaning of this symbol, Om, your mind becomes clarified. Yes, your dirt of the mind, which is rajas and tamas, etc., they go away and becomes more and more sattvika, the mind. And because of that, you understand better, because your buddhi begins to be purer and purer, approaching and the purity of God. And not only that, he said, antaraya bhavascha. There are obstacles in the spiritual path. They are, you see, they are finished, these obstacles. Now, what are these obstacles? He will now list a big list of obstacles. Badhi. Badhi is your, this is disease. Stana is your dullness of the mind. Then samshaya, there is doubt. You think certain times that all this spirituality is bogus. You say it has no place in the real world, etc. The samshaya comes, or the doubt comes regarding whether you will ever reach the goal. So this is samshaya. Then pramada. Pramada is normally due to various reasons, you forget your goal. You forget your goal. Say, that is pramada. Alasya. Alasya is the laziness. Yeah. Avirati. Avirati means you continue to be sensual. You do not have, say, for spirituality, you must say no to this world. You see, that you have not. You see, that means, in other words, you are not detached sufficiently. And then Bhranti Darshana. Bhranti Darshana means your false perception. Your mind is so clouded that what you are perceiving is wrong. Alabdho bhumikatva. Alabdha bhumikatva means you slip away from the state after attaining. You attain certain high state, but you glide. That is alabdha bhumikatva. And then anavasthitatva. That means you are you cannot stay a long time in your attained state. You have a little concentration, and after that concentration goes away, you become totally distracted. Such things, these are all obstacles. So, say, now, what happens when you have these things? What is the result of these obstacles? Dukkha dulmanasya anga majeyatva shasha prashasha vikshepa sahuva. When you have this distraction, along with that, certain things come to you. First of all, distress, dukkha. Dormanasya is your mental frustration. Then angame jayatva, that means trembling of different limbs. There are some people who sit and unconsciously they swing their legs. This is very bad. So, if your mind is restless, you cannot have a very great concentration. And there is your shasha prashasha, that means this, when you are concentrated, your breathing rate goes down, it slows down. And when you are becoming restless, so again it increases. So shasha prashasha means breathing. There is more your rapidity in the breathing. You see it when a person is very angry, how he is breathing. Tat pratishedhartham ekatattva abhyasaha. Now, to prevent these things, the practice of one subject only should be made. What is this ekatattva? Ekatattva means you are concentrating in a particular manner on a particular subject. You should continue to do this till you achieve the result. If every day you change your subject, that is not good. And not only that, all the time you cannot concentrate. You have to, for example, brush your teeth, you have to take your food, etc. What to do then? Now, great yogis, for example, through their practice, they have a kind of internal japa. Even during sleep, this japa will continue. So one part of mind is doing the japa. And Tulsidas gives an example of this. He says, Aisa dhyan dhara jaisa byan ka gai. Muh mein trina tute chet rakhe bachai. That means you should imitate the cow which has given birth to a calf. That cow is taking grass by its mouth, but its mind is on the calf, always. So like that means you do many things. You see, Sri Ramakrishna used to say that it is like the person who does many things, but he has a toothache. If you have a toothache, all the time you have suffering, so you have a mind, you see, attached to that suffering. So similarly, yogis, you see, they may do many things, but a part of the mind they keep on this subject, ekatattva. You must not change your subject. So for example, for 3 days you are concentrating on Rama, and then from the 4th day you are no, Rama is not good, Krishna is. You should not, you see. So you should not change your subject. You should continue to do the same thing till you get the result, because you are not great in concentration. We are practicing concentration. And through concentration, you are trying to have this tranquility of the mind. So there is another technique for tranquilizing the mind. He is giving next sutra. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam, Mudita plus Upekshanam, there is sandhi. Mudita Upekshanam, Sukha, Dukkha, Punya, Vishayanam, Bhavanata, Chitta Prasadanam. That means when someone is happy, you should, in your mind, you should develop this sense of amity, friendliness. When someone is in distress, your mind should have compassion. When someone has done a punya karma, for example, he is feeding the poor, someone, which is a punya karma. Now, when such a thing happens, you should be glad. You should be glad, happy. And someone is doing papa karma, punya punya, apunya. Apunya means papa. Then, since you are trying to achieve spiritual attainment, so your attitude should be upeksha. Upeksha means you do not bother about these things. Now you may think that, you see, there is the proverbs and there is the normal social ideal, better the world with a blow in the teeth of the tongue. Now, what about that ideal? Now, one should remember that, you see, you are in a serious job. Serious job means the spiritual attainment is a very serious thing. It is not an ordinary thing. It is a very great achievement because you are ultimately you are going beyond all distress. And if you can do that, your presence itself will be a blessing to the society. Because the whole world has the same problem. Every human being is suffering, and they want a little peace, little tranquility, little spirituality. So if you can achieve this, so for you, this reforming the society or you see, bringing the wrongdoer to justice is not for you. So upekshanam. If you can do that, so through these kind of attitudes, you will have the peace of mind. Chitta prasadanam. So this is one technique. Another technique he is given in the next sutra. Prachardana vidhana bhyamba pranasya. This is an alternative. That means through your prachandana means this respiration, this throwing out of your the breath, and by retaining the breath. That is what he's hinting at is the pranayama. As the Gita says, apane juhati pranam pranepanam tatha pare pranapana gatirudva pranayama parayana. That means Gita is likening the whole pranayama system as a yajna. So apane juhati pranam, that means you are breathing air inside. Prane panam tatha pare, you are breathing out, exhaling. Pranapana gatirudva, pranayama, and you are retaining the kumbhaka. So the whole thing is, now this has been originally we can imagine that yogis found that with slowing down of the mind, a slowing down of the breath, the mind also pacifies. And they found that the reverse is also true. When the mind is pacified, it is automatic, or you can bring it mechanically by this pranayama, certain amount of, So this has been developed, over hundreds of years in India, and different techniques of pranayama has been have been used. You see. And it is a great thing because many yogis, at least in the beginning of their lives, they have say taken the course to pranayama to pacify their system, to bring it under control, etc. You see. So Swami Vivekananda, Aravinda, etc., etc., all of them did it, you see, at some point or other. You see. And a little, you see, Swami Vivekananda used to teach meditation in the West. And this meditation used to be preceded by pranayama. And pranayama is there in our upasana. Say this upasana, this daily upasana which is prescribed for the Hindus, in that pranayama is a part. Pranayama is a part of the puja even. So pranayama has, because pranayama gives you a tremendous, two things are happening in through pranayama. Your mind is pacified, and also it has does see some good things to your body even physically. Of course, you should do it in a systematic way. Otherwise, there may be difficulties. Vishayavati va pravittir utpanna manasasthiti nibandhani. This sutra as such is very complex in the sense that the wording are such that if you take Vishayavati means something which has got subject, Vishayavati. Pravritti means impulsion. Utpanna means produced. Manasha sthiti nibandhani. It will help to stabilize the mind. That is the. Now, what is this? Normally, you do not understand. Only with the Vyasa Bhashya, we can understand what the aphorism wants to say. This is the trouble of the aphorism. That means, if the aphorism, you see, says in some telegraphic language something of which the meaning is not easily understood, then you require a commentary on it. Now, fortunately, there is a Vyasa Bhashya. There it says that what the Sutrakara means is this, that for example, you are concentrating on the tip of the nose. After some time, you may see, smell something, a divine fragrance. You are concentrating on your tongue. You may see certain times you may have the taste of some a highly delicious thing. If such a thing happens, then you concentrate on that. That will stabilize your mind. It means this sutra. As such, the sutra is not intelligible. It is the help of the Vyasa Bhashya that we can understand the meaning of the sutra. Vishayavati va pravritti utpanna manasasthiti nibandhani. So it means that it may not happen to you. If it happens to you, then that is to concentrate upon that, special sensation, And that means then you will have stability of the mind. Vishoka ba Jyotishmati. Uh, or you think, meditate on the effulgent light, which is beyond all sorrow, Vishoka. Now, what does it mean actually? In India, there was a kind of meditation which is called Dahara Vidya. Dahara Vidya, Dahara means canal. What do they mean by Dahara Vidya? That means you imagine that your heart is a lotus and the stalk of the lotus has a canal within it. Now, within this canal, you imagine this light, and you begin to concentrate upon it. And then we'll finally have some, you see, perception. Perception in the sense that, you see, as the Narayana Sutta says, Nilato yadamadhyasta vidulleki bhavaswara. It is, we see a light which is like the lightning in the bosom of the blue cloud. You see, such a light, that means you see within yourself light. You see. Very often, your yogis, when they advance, they see certain lights. I say certain times it is like, I say, it is like Khaddut, Viddut, etc. This Upanishad says it is like the glowing worm. You see, in the evening, we have seen glowing worms in the evening. So, like that, sometimes you see this something like lightning. Certain times you see small lights dispersed in different directions. So, yogis, so when you see such thing, you can have the stability of the mind. Vitaraga Vishayamba Chittam. Or by meditation on the heart that has given up all attachments to worldly things. That means think of the mind of a great yogi. This is another. You see, even to look at a great yogi is your mind will come down. Sarada Devi used to say to the devotees who used to go to Belur Math that when you go to Belur Math, see Rakhal, you will have punya. That means he was almost always indrawn. He was the president of the order, but he was such a great yogi, almost always indrawn, you see. So to look at him, you see, it is a punya. That means your mind is pacified thereby. You see. So to look at, say, even your Mundaka says, Samane vrikshe purushani magna anishaya shochati muhyamana justam yadapaschattanamisham asya mahimanam atabito shokaha. Samane vikshe purushamagna. That means it is the Upanishad takes the idea from the Rig Veda. There is a imagery of two birds sitting on the same tree. The lower bird is eating sometimes good fruits, sometimes you say unripe fruits, and it becomes happy and sad. The other upper bird does not eat anything and it is very tranquil. That is the imagery. That means in us there is this inner self which is tranquil. The outer self is active and full of impulsions, full of sorrow, full of frustration, etc. So that's why when it looks, Yishtam yada pasyattannamisham asya mahimana, when it looks at the adorable one and sees his glory, and it becomes pacified. Bhita shoka, devoid of sorrow. Now, by looking at a real saint, you will be pacified. So that is another method. Shapna, Nidra, Ganavalammanamba. Certain times you see or hear something in your state of dreaming or deep sleep. So that your, of course, deep sleep, there is no knowledge, but ordinary sleep is interspersed certain times by special advices. Certain times you get mantra even in that state from yogis. Both inside and outside our order, I have heard of many cases. As many people said they received the mantra during such things. Now, when you have this, then you meditate on these things, then your mind will be pacified. And when it is, you know that in dreams we see many things, but they are very special dreams. Very special dreams. You will understand that it is special. Yes, so they are talking about those things, not ordinary dreams. Sometimes you see an image of a person. Sometimes you receive an instruction. Sometimes you receive a mantra. And the nature of these things is such that you will understand that they're extraordinary. And then that becomes, you concentrate upon those things, your mind will be pacified. Then finally it says, Jatha vimata dhyanadva, or you meditate on anything that appeals to you as good. Now, for example, Swami Turyananda, for a period of his life, he used to take up the shlokas of the Gita, and one shloka for 3-4 days he used to reflect upon, reflecting the subtle meanings, nuances of this. So this is a kind of meditation. You see. This is a kind of meditation. And for example, Swami Akhandananda, he used to run an orphanage. Now, each orphan child, he used to consider it as God himself. So when he used to give birth to this child, he used to utter this Sahasra Shesha Purusha, etc., these mantras. You see. That means the child itself is God. So if you can, you see, this is not ordinary meditation, but this is a kind of meditation, you see. So once a young widow came to Sri Ramakrishna saying that she is not able to concentrate her mind properly. So Sri Ramakrishna asked her, where does your mind go during concentration? The lady said that she has a nephew and she thinks of the nephew. So then Sri Ramakrishna says that, say, you bring up that child, say, as if it is child Krishna. So these are you see, very special type of meditations. These are very special type of meditations. That's why the Yatha Vimata Dhyana. There is no limit of these things. You can do anything and everything by spiritualizing it. Now, next sutra is Paramanu, Parama Mahatva, Mahatvanta Asya Bhushikara. Asya means this minds from the atom, atom up to this, the most huge things, see, the biggest thing, everything will be, see, the will be unobstructed. You see, mind will have unobstructed understanding of very minute things and very huge things. You see, mind gets so much power. So now the yogi, you see, achieves so much power that Shinavitte Viyata Seva Mane Grihiti Grahana Grajjeshu Tatstha Tad Tadstham Tananjanata Samapattihi. Yogi, that means who's become Brittis having Shina, that means very thinned out. That means there is no gross Britti, become very powerless, too much, you see. So what he gets, he obtains in the receiver, in the instrument of receiving and received. That means who is the receiver? Receiver is the you yourself. You are taking. You see, that means the self. And the instrument of receiving is the mind. And things received are the objects around. You see. You get concentratedness and sameness like the crystal before the different colored objects. That means your constant meditation, due to constant meditation, your mind, say, your mind is taking the shape of the object of meditation. You see. And when we are continuing like that, you see, and continuing like that, so this is called your mind gets the color of the subject, etc. This is called concentration. Yeah. This is called concentration. Yeah. So that means concentration is that there is a kind of link between the self, which is receiving, your mind, which is the instrument, and the received object, you say. So there is a kind of linking, you say, linking of all these, and you say, and so that is called concentration. That means the three things, what is normally called in Vedanta, this Gya and Gyata. Gya is what is to be known, Gyata is inside, you say, and Jnana, the act of knowledge, you say. So they become, you see, they become, the difference is attenuated. That is the idea. The difference between the three things is attenuated. So that is concentration. So idea is that you see, more and more you are concentrating, more and more you have this kind of your the sameness of the three things, which is called Triputi Veda normally in Vedanta. And that means that three things, they become almost like one thing. You see. That is he is defining what is concentration. That is nature of concentration. That's why, and when it is very great, you have, you know, the life of Sri Ramakrishna and other great yogis also. Sri Ramakrishna looked at the Madonna with concentration, and what happened? Jesus himself came down and embraced him. It had happened previously many times in the Sanctum Sanctorum of the temple. He looked at the image and thought about the blissful mother of the universe. So that blissful mother appeared. Blissful mother appeared. So that is the thing that happens. Always. That means the difference between the three things: dhyana, dheya, dhyata, the go away. And so this is called, this is of course very high level of concentration. This is not ordinary concentration. It's very high concentration. And then you are really, you say, they have used the Samapatti, which Buddhists use so much. Buddhists say that Buddha himself achieved the 9th level of Samapatti, which is the highest Samapatti according to the Buddhists. And they say that his great guru, Alar Kalam, he achieved the 7th level of Samapatti. So, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let us stop here. Now, any questions?
Maharaj, this is Devjyoti.
Yes.
Maharaj, with regard to pranayam, the method which is
Pranayama, yes.
Is there a difference in the impact on the mind and the body, whether we are holding the breath in versus holding the breath out?
You see, holding the breath in and holding the breath out, that is your both are possible and both, but you should be careful about your health conditions. Because those who have, for example, heart problem, etc., they are sometimes advised even to skip this. You see, if you are used to pranayama, if you are, or you can have it nominally, trying to do it much because you are there is a lack of oxygen at that time. Of course, this lack of oxygen itself provokes other things which may be beneficial certain times, but your system must be strong for that.
Right, Maharaj.
Hello?
Thank you.
Yes, your system must be strong for that. Yes?
Swamiji, I have a question. At the beginning, when you were talking about Omkara,
Yes.
and you said about the three, the cosmos, Ishvara, Brahman, creation, preservation, dissolution. Then you said gross, subtle,
Yes.
and what is the third one?
Gross, subtle, and causal.
Causal. Thank you.
Causal, what they call sthula sukshma karana.
Thank you. Thank you.
Swamiji, which was the number of the sutra which you completed today?
It is your 41.
Okay, thank you, Swamiji.
41. Now, so Om itself is a very powerful thing, and not only our Shastras, as I have said, it is a very living practice for the Hindus and the Buddhists and also Jains. In fact, it has been lauded by, by even Nanak, Kunkar, etc., etc., he says. So, it is in Indian religions, it is very, very much practiced, and is by millions and millions of people practice it, and they get the result also of it. Okay, thank you all.
Pranam Swamiji.
Namaste.
Pranam.
Pranam, Maharaj.
Thank you.